Hi, Anne.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to be talking about what to do for a social platform because membership sites, people come for the content, but they generally stay for the community. And a lot of sites right now are based on Facebook, but with some of the TikTok drama that we're seeing in the States right now, you don't really want your people to be on another platform. Additionally, you also don't want to be beholden to like their standards or potentially any of their privacy things. Now, and you've one like what is your business, just for everybody?
Basically, I'm known as Scrivener Virgin, and I teach people how to use Scrivener, but I also work a lot with writers, whether they're using Scrivener or not. So I teach them how to edit whatever they've produced. I work alongside as well another lady who uh, is a professor of creative writing. So between the pair of us, we manage to cover the whole route from somebody starting off writing something, having to edit it, and then we have another thing called Talking Shop where we talk
Mhm.
about publishing and marketing themselves.
I think I need to touch base with you about those things afterwards because we're in the process right now of writing my first book, which was really great up until I actually really had to go through and start editing it. The editing
Mm,
process is the least fun process.
yeah,
But
marketing's worse.
you've
Marketing
got
is worse.
you've got a community on Facebook right now, but you're not happy on Facebook. What's going on with your current community?
I've got lots of communities on Facebook, but one particular strand, as it were, I have what I call just us groups. So it's
Mhm.
just me and one other person, a writer. So they've already had a half-hour session with me, and I've explained how they can make progress with Scrivener. So they told me
Mhm.
what they can't do. I've said, okay, that's okay. Yeah, we can fix that. We can fix that. Yes, you need to read some stuff. Okay. So then the recording, the link to the recording goes into the Facebook group. That takes a little bit of time.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the topics they ask me about, I write post in that Facebook group saying, okay, you were worried about such and such, you need to read this blog post. You were worried about such and such, you need to read this blog post. And I literally might do 6 blog posts, each of them pointing to a particular post of mine from my website that tells them how
Mhm.
to do something. And then the idea is that if they want to ask follow-up questions, they do so in that thread. So we have a
Yeah.
really organized library of information for them to read something, ask questions about it. I can answer their questions and stuff. And that's worked brilliantly, brilliantly for I don't know how long. I mean, probably, where are we? Probably 8 years.
That's a good time.
And then the other week, I had a particular client. I had the recording was uploading to Vimeo, so I went in, set up the Facebook group, invited him to join. Nobody else can see it. And then I did my first post. I said, okay, you were interested in XYZ. You need to read this blog post. Posted it. Now,
Mhm.
what's the next thing on his list? I did a little cheery message, put the link, posted it. I'm making good progress. The third one,
Mhm.
Facebook blocked it. And
Interesting.
it broke their rules because I was spamming the group.
But it's a group with you and him, right?
Yeah, 2 of us. And they
Interesting.
and they complained that I was giving links to the same website in all of my posts, and therefore I was well, I mean that means I can't use it to teach anybody because all of my answers are on my website.
Hmm.
That's what my blog's all about. It's got all the answers to all the questions anyone's ever asked.
And on your website right now, I'm just looking at your back end. You don't actually have a you have LearnDash installed, but you don't see a protection like membership tool on your site right now. Do we have another membership site, or I think you only have the one site, Scrivener Virgin, correct?
Yes, well, there's Stephen's one, but that's nothing to do with mine.
Yeah, because you have your courses on here as well.
Yeah,
How are we protecting this? I thought you were on using MailChimp.
I'm using MailChimp separately. I actually use my MailChimp for my emailing, but that has all of the things I'm involved in. The website really, uh, obviously there are users on the website. There are people who've bought products from me.
Hmm.
Um,
So one of the challenges we have is that this tool is like people need to be able to log in. How are they getting their login access for the LearnDash courses right now? Is that just through the LearnDash protections?
yes,
Thomas?
I think did I
Okay.
used to have Membarium, which was why I came to you in the first place?
I think you did. I think maybe we stripped it out at one point in time because did you
Yeah.
you're not on Keep anymore, I don't believe.
No.
Abandoned that ship. Because you've got, I'm just looking at a contact. I won't share my screen just because we're recording.
Mhm.
I don't want to give any personal information of people.
Yeah.
We will, so we have to think about, so our goal today is to figure out like what are your options for a social community. Now, it seems like you've got two different use cases for your community. You've got that one-on-one community where you want to be able to have like these private chats with
Yep.
people. And then you've also potentially got more group communities,
I
where
have.
it's like
Yeah.
everybody in there. And I think that the tool that I have in mind will work for both. You had sent me a couple links in our back and forth with some ideas that you'd had of some forums, WP40, I think a Sargius forum. What attracted? I think you probably saying this wrong, by the way. What attracted you to that one option, a Sargios? How do you think it's
There
pronounced?
were there were only three. There were
Oh,
only three options that were showing as plugins.
mhm,
Um, One of them was not compatible with my current version of whatever I've got, so I
mhm.
didn't bother with that one. And the other one just looked overly complicated. So I just started with the simplest one, thinking, let's have a look and see what it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. And did you search forum when you were looking that up?
Did I
Like what
search
did
for them?
forum? Okay. Because
Oh
it's
yes, I
interesting
did. I did. Sorry, beg your pardon, forum. Yeah.
because forum and like because forums in a social group are like forums, the main difference between a forum and like a community is when you think about Facebook just works on these like big long feeds, whereas
Hmm.
a forum, what they'll do is they'll have like a topic group of like
Yeah.
membership sites, and then you go into
Hmm.
membership sites, and then there's a whole bunch of posts in that, and then you have to click in, so you have to go like two or three layers deep to actually see content. When we think about social communities, most of them are only like one layer deep, where you're going to
Right.
have a community, a post, and then maybe some threads on that. Very sim Facebook-esque. So if you look at any of these forum options, they're going to be like that threaded version. And like there's a default, the most common one on WordPress is called BB Press.
Hmm.
And then there's also Buddy Press as well. And then another, so the completely different, like they couldn't get more uncreative with their names, frankly. You've got Buddy Boss additionally. So if that's confusing to you, it's confusing, I think, to everybody. So like BB Press is the like the kind of like the WordPress forum tool.
Hmm.
And then you've got Buddy Press, and I might be getting these names confused, by the way. And then you've got Buddy Boss, which is more like a theme and a builder, and it's quite robust, and it's really sold as like it's your complete social network tool. Now, the problem that I see with all of the forum options, including the three that you've had here, is just like the user of experience of it is really dated. So anytime we've tried
Hmm.
to implement this, people go in there and like, why can't it be more like Facebook? Um,
Yeah.
because they will have to click in and then click in and then click in. And I'm like, oh, I know. And so all of those options kind of fall into that group. And then you've got Buddy Boss, which is a theme, and then they also have just like a plugin you can install. And we've worked with Buddy Boss for many, many years now, and I don't love it. Let's just put it that way. It it kind of reminds me of like years ago, even now with a phone plan where you go in and they're selling you a phone plan and like and you get 1,000 talk minutes and this and this and this and you don't end up using most of it, but you end up paying for all of it. And that's kind of like what we see not only with complicated themes, but with the Buddy Boss theme is that it can do so many things, but it also makes it very error prone. And then in most of the sites that we worked on, we don't use most of the tools or most of the functionalities in it anyways. So it's like
Yeah.
you're getting all of these things, but they just become a distraction. And so we've been trying to toy around with some new options for communities. And when you'd reached out to me, because you're on our support plan of like, hey, you can install this plugin, I was like, okay, I think I got something good for you. And we've been trialing this for with another client right now, and I'm really pleased with it so far. We've done a couple implementations of it, and then today we're going to do one together, and then we're going to work through what those next steps are, and I'm going to kind of
Indeed.
chat through how I think it can work for you,
Okay.
and some of the things I like about it, but also some of my concerns, because this is a newer tool that we're trialing. It's not like some of our other tools, like we use the Astra and Elementor theme. Like I know them. I know when they chew with their mouth open. I know what their support's like. We've been through the gamut with them. This
Mm.
one, it only has come out in the last 3 months or so. I think in large part because of a market need. And I wouldn't say I fully know all the things I don't like about it yet. You're always
Mm.
in that honeymoon phase with a tech tool when you can't tell me the things that are not great about it. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna, and I think you took a quick look at this, but the tool that we're gonna be looking at today, I'm gonna share my screen. You'd think with how many times I've used Zoom, I'd be able to figure out this share screen. Can you see the Fluent Community stuff right now?
It's just going to start.
Is
Yep.
it? So this is their sales page. They're doing a lifetime deal right now, but because you're part of our support plan, you get a free license. You get a license, and you get a license, and you get a license. I'm not Oprah. I aspire to be Oprah. Maybe one day. um, the thing I like about this is like just right out of the box, it looked really good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install this and then we're gonna see just right out of the box, like what does this look like? Do you have a little extra time today? I know we're only scheduled for about half an hour, but I think we'll probably
Yeah,
take a
no,
little.
I'm fine. I've got my husband set up watching a program that's going to last him a good hour, but I can always pop in and just make sure. He's not very good with the remote control. So,
My
um,
question is, what's he watching? Some faulty towers?
no, he's watching a program about coastal districts in the UK. A guy's been going around the whole of the outside of the UK, looking at the archaeological implications of, what, castles and what the sea has done to villages and what have you. It's actually a really interesting program.
It sounds
Um,
fascinating.
but yeah, and it rolls on to the next one. So actually, if he watches one, he won't. If he if he's not paying attention, he won't notice they're actually starting another one already.
I feel like that was like one of the greatest things that all of the movie, like the Netflixes, were just like they'll just keep playing stuff. I remember
Mm.
when they made that change, and like I think my watch time went up significantly when they made that change. I just kept watching things. So I've just installed the Fluent Communities plugin. So I went into
Okay.
plugins, did add new, installed the plugin, and then I think we're gonna have to go and we have Fluent Community over here. And then apparently, I don't know why they give me a download for it and they're like, install a core plugin afterwards. It doesn't always make sense to me. Now I set this up before and I tried to change this URL. And when I changed it, like it didn't change in all of the places it was supposed to change. I have emailed their support about it to say, hey, this doesn't actually work. But I think for the time being, we'll just keep this URL as the same. So that your social community essentially will be scrivenervirgin.com/portal.
Okay.
I think they will fix that at some point in time, so you can put it on whatever you want. But I just don't want to mess with it for our purposes today, because I'm not confident that it's actually fixed. I'm gonna grab your what do you call it? A logo here.
Hmm.
So one of the things I don't totally love about this tool is it does kind of seem to be like it doesn't operate directly in the WordPress way of doing things. Typically, what you would see is that when you go upload photo here, like upload logo, it would upload it into like the media file backend of your site. But for whatever reason, when I do upload logo, it doesn't give me an option to like look at the WordPress media. So it tells me that, and I know this is probably more information than what you want, but I am finding your logo right now, and you're just going to have to bear with me. Because I did
Hmm.
save it, but now it's not showing up for whatever reason. It just it could potentially be something that does cause problems in the future. I'm hoping that it doesn't. It should be logo dark. Oh, interesting. So your logo, I don't know why it's looking like that, but we're gonna go with it, hope for the best. It just had a weird view on it. It's a gecko or something. So your community template, I think I would just do the basic one.
Hmm.
Fluent Community does have courses built into it and products. I question whether I would want to use any of those things. You've got LearnDash already installed. We really like
Yep.
Sensei as an LMS as well. I think they're going to try to do too many things with their courses. Courses are a whole beast within themselves. It's my one concern about their roadmap of how, if they're trying to do too much. Trying to pull off courses and communities, I think is probably a pretty big pill to solve. Who can access your portal? We're going to say only logged in users just to make sure that nobody can see it right now because you don't have users logging in. Um, Now we can, so there's another tool that this works with called Fluent CRM. And then we can send off like emails, and we will need a way to get people to be able to log into your site to be able to
Hmm.
use this. We got to think about that, and potentially that we can be using this Fluent CRM for that. We're not gonna do this. I'm already subscribed, so I don't want to do that. And then we're gonna go save and finish. Never show again. So now, right out of the box, let's go and see what your community looks like. So I'm just going to go and activate the license because they get mad if you don't. They get very upset. One moment, I'm just grabbing the license ID on here. And usually with licensing, they will just shut off your updates to it. They won't necessarily do very much else. So I've updated that. So like right out of the box, I don't, Fluent Community Pro plugin needs to be updated the latest for, okay. So we got to do this too, apparently. I did just download this like a couple days ago, but we're going to update it because apparently they told us we need to. And then we can go back here and we'll go to our portal. Now we have no more alerts. So out of the box, I think this looks pretty good. Like it doesn't have any content in here, but like I've installed a number of these ones and they look straight out of the 90s right off the bat. Now, as I'm looking at this, there's a couple things that we noticed. So they work on spaces. And so what you can do is you can have a public space, but you can also have all your private spaces for particular people. So you would be able to create spaces here that would be private for each one of those like different for those one-on-one conversations if you
Okay.
wanted to. Let's work that through a little bit. And then they have the different sections over here, and then there's a main feed. So the nice thing about this main feed is like, let's say I'm one of your one-on-one clients, then I'll see everything that has popped up from the main feed. And then I can also see if you've sent me any messages in our private space as well. And I can click right to them. So these are customized. So there's a start here and a say hello. So we can customize these and we can add more sections over here. And then this
Hmm.
has all of the spaces. We're going to get rid of the courses. I don't know if you want to have members on here. I don't know if it's useful to you. And I think we'll probably want to take off this leaderboard functionality for you too, because I don't think it's relevant to what you want to do.
Okay.
So we're going to go into settings.
Yeah, because I do have some groups where they're currently functioning quite well on Facebook because I haven't been blocked.
Mhm,
I mean, I've got a group called Nine Online, which is a teaching read and review kind of space, and I have probably got about 30 members, but at any one time there's only about 6 of us active on something, and only those people would be in like an inner group.
mhm,
Um, and there are similar setups. Wednesday Writers is another one. There's quite a big group of members, but only some of them actually attend the workshops. And it's only the ones who attend the workshops, i.e., pay to attend the workshops, who get certain information.
mhm,
But the whole group gets information at a different level. So, um, and Talking Shop, so there's 3 of them. Wednesday Writers is creative writing, Nine Online is the editing, and Talking Shop is the marketing one. So there's 3 main groups because people are at different stages, which while I'm
mhm.
thinking about it, if you're only just writing your book, you should be marketing it yourself already, but I'm sure you've obviously marketed yourself already.
Mine's more of a Mine's more of a sales piece to some degree of like something to indoctrinate people in. Like I don't really care about the book sales so much
Mm.
as it's an education piece that I want to be able to send to people, but we'll talk more later about that.
Yeah.
So here you can enable dark mode, sticky page headers across the portal. None of these really matter. I'm going to get rid of the powered by because I just don't like it. And we're going to save their settings. You can down the road add community managers, which is nice. So you can make it
Hmm.
so that there, if you want people just to be able to access your community, then you can do that. Email settings as far as like when you send out emails through your mailer. We'll work that through a little bit more when we're thinking about, okay, how do we, what do you want to do when you launch this? And you can also make it so that people can get emails about the different posts. I love
Yeah.
this weekly digest email for community members. It's something that, and a couple other options we've tried to do, but couldn't figure out a way to do it. And I love that they have this just built in.
Yeah.
Not tested though, so I don't know how useful it is. Features and advanced ones. So I don't want to we want to get rid of the leaderboard. So we're going to unenable the leaderboard and save that. And then we're going to unenable the user badges because I don't think that's helpful to you.
No.
And then we don't want courses. Jiffies are great, but I just don't, it's an annoying thing to have to go in and do, honestly. So we're
Hmm.
not gonna do it today. This is an option that you might want to look at for your one-on-one conversations. I'm not sure how it works with like if it's a community chat or what, but like it's more of a real-time type option. So these are some of their other tools and stuff. I don't think there's anything that we really need on this at this point in time. We use send mail through SMTP. Fluent SMTP and send mail through SMTP, kind of the same thing. We have a license for you for send mail through SMTP that's already set up, so we don't need to worry about that. So this is where you can add new topics. What are some topics that people might talk about like throughout your different communities?
Um, if it's in the Wednesday writers, it might be something like characterization.
Well, we know that spelling is not my thing.
I could have given you something a bit easier, couldn't I?
I
POV.
I don't know what is it?
There's a
POV.
C in there before the T, and then ER, characterization. And it's a C, an H, sorry, CHAR. And then you need an ER after after the first T.
Help me Google. Also, I feel like my brain stops working when I'm trying to spell anything on a call. It's
Yeah.
like you clearly just don't know. You're illiterate at this point in time. And then we can put so I'm actually gonna save this for a second and then just go to our space groups first because it's not going to be helpful unless we actually have them. So what are our groups that we want to create? So what was the one that you just mentioned?
Wednesday writers.
Look, I can spell.
Haha.
And this is for writers that like to write on Wednesday.
Creative writing.
So this is if you want people to be able to see this group if they're a part of it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we're going to keep that there. And then so this is so there's groups and then there's spaces. The Wednesday writers I think is actually going to be a space, not a group. Where do we do this? So I'm going to add
So within a space, you have groups, and then within the groups, members have access. No, within the groups, there'll be threads, and then members have access to the groups.
kind of, I think I'm going to create a new one of is it like coaching with your one-on-one? Is that what you would call it? Like how would you call
I
it?
just call it just us. And it is one-on-one coaching. So
I'm just gonna use myself as an example. And then we're gonna do, I like emojis, so you gotta have fun with what you do, in my opinion. What is an emoji that would best, oh, I'm gonna be a cowboy. There you go. Description, private. So it's gonna be a secret one,
Hmm.
and then it's members only. So this would be like, so this is, you have to invite specific members
Yeah.
to this, because that's what we'd want for these private ones here. We don't care about this. And then I do like the idea of being able to, you can upload files and documents.
Yeah, I do need that.
I kind of like this option. And then you can get into the styling of what it's going to look like in a second or later on. So Wednesday, so the Wednesday writers group, that's more of like a public, we want to create this as an actual group itself. So discussion, and then we're going to call it Wednesday writers. And then I'm gonna do a paintbrush. We can go back and change these later, by the way. You're not beholden to them. I will not be offended.
Hmm.
Creative writing.
I have quite good fun actually when I'm sorting out the courses because I get the slides from Kerry. She's the creative writing
Mhm,
teacher.
mhm,
And then I have to kind of find an image that I think is going to capture what she's going to be teaching. And all I've got is her slides. I haven't got the theory. I don't know what she's going to
mhm,
say. And so one of the jobs I do is I do all the marketing for it.
mhm.
So she sent me the slides probably about 2 weeks before the event, and then I have to very quickly um, come up with something.
I mean, it's a creative process within itself. I'm gonna go edit group. This is gonna be called communities. Oh, it won't let me now. Interesting. So it won't let me update that now. And so this is what I would consider a bug of like I'm trying to update this. It won't let me update it. When I go to create a new group, it's taking me back here.
Hmm.
So what do we do when we get a bug? We refresh the page and we turn it on and turn it back off again and hope it works again. Oh, look at that. It works. So now we're gonna try to create our new group communities. And apparently I can't spell communities now. Because I can't, I have to delete this in order for this to go in the right spot.
Yeah.
So I'm go put this in here. So it's like it's a little finicky because it's like it's not quite letting me. So I'm gonna move to a different, I have to move to a different group manually. And then I'm gonna get rid of this group. And then I'm gonna update this guy here. Don't want to do anything. So it's a little bit like I'm clicking, it's not doing anything. Again, let's refresh it. Hope for the best. And now I'm going to go and see if I can edit this is what I want. So maybe if I view it. So it's still not quite what I want because I want to be able to edit this portion here. But it seems that once you have created a space that maybe you can't edit it, which is interesting. I can edit the group, but I can't necessarily edit this space, which is, I wouldn't say great, but again, like it's part of the challenge of like working with a tool like this of, we are the beta users for this. So okay, space settings. So it's just a little roundabout as far as where you go to make the changes. And then I'm going to
Hmm.
save this. So for the Wednesday writers, like on they'd be able to see, and I think we can put more stuff over here of
Hmm.
like for the Wednesday writers, we can probably put more things as far as in the space settings. You can put whatever you want in here. I don't
Yeah,
know that you can hyperlink anything out though. As far as like if I wanted to add a URL, I don't think that there's a like usually what you'd see is you'd highlight it and you'd be able to bold or something along those
yeah,
lines. It
yeah,
might respect HTML code. I'm gonna bet you it probably won't. So it's like you can put text there that will work, but you can't put much more than that. And then I do like a lot of this, like how they do this of the title. It would be better if they popped you down into this write something here of this is a community group. And then people can upload videos. Now we need to be careful on this of we if you're going to allow the uploading of videos that we have it so that those files are going onto another server and you're not keeping them on your site because that'll very quickly eat up any of your hosting properties or
no,
hosting.
there's no way I would want them uploading videos. What I do is I give them a link to a Vimeo,
Hmm.
because it's I upload it to Vimeo, and I'm then in a position if I want to. At the moment, I'm fine on space on Vimeo, but at some point I can go back and delete some of the old ones. I mean, joking aside, I can delete the ones that relate to people I know who've died. Some of,
Morbid.
some of my clients have actually passed away, so that's really sad. But it means I could have a clear out if I had time. But no, I haven't. I'm not under any pressure at the moment for space there.
I don't think that like I'm trying to see like where do we disable that functionality for them uploading videos. So you can configure where the media is stored here.
Hmm.
I don't see a way right now that allows us to upload those. So the topics we've kind of gotten a little bit of a rabbit hole here. For characterization, which space would that be? Would that be creative writing?
That's in the creative writing space, yeah.
Writer,
But,
so
yeah.
I really like the one that you can do only admins can select that. That's really handy for if you want to have certain things like one of our clients, they run like webinars all the time. So they
Hmm.
want to have like a topic, and I'll show you what that looks like on the front end of if you go into Wednesday Writers now, like people can see that like all of the posts around characterization here. And like you can just add more topics. And then so with this for our Just Us community, you could have the topics up here that you could tag as well. So that way they can
Right.
quickly jump to certain things. So it's like follow up after meeting, resource,
Mm.
that kind of thing. And then they
Mm.
could jump right to in the topics where they want to go. And I just want to see what the different layouts are here as far as where did it
It looks very similar to the group layout in Facebook. A bit on the right saying what it's about and something in.
yeah, I think that's by design and they're smart to do that. Facebook, people are just really used to Facebook now too.
Mm.
And I think that
They
that's
hate it. They hate it.
it,
Um,
they love to hate it though.
well,
They hate Facebook. I don't think that they don't like the user experience of it though. Like the design of it isn't what they hate, it's the other things to do
that's
with.
right. And the problem I have is that all of the people I'm dealing with are intelligent, mostly women.
Mhm.
When I say unfortunately mostly women, because the women, quite a few of them have really objected to the stance that's being taken about how women can be treated on Facebook. And I've had quite a few of my clients have already said, I'm out of here. And I
Mhm.
looked at it thinking, I really can't afford for all of my clients to suddenly say they won't use Facebook. And I'm sitting there with the groups and I've got no way of communicating. I did have years ago, probably 6, 7 years ago, I had one particular lady who said she wouldn't go on Facebook. And I said, well, fine, I can't work with you.
Mhm.
And that's where I am. And my feeling was I didn't want to work with her because of her. It was a bit like she decided she was going to be a vegetarian for whatever reason, just
Mhm.
like making a statement. But now people are objecting to Facebook because of the politics, and I think it will fold. When I look at my feed, there's nothing much in it I want to see.
Mhm.
So I think it's,
It's a weird and wild world we live in right now.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
what I've just done is enabled access management through Fluent CRM. So
Hmm.
the next steps of this of like how, well, one, like going in here and customizing it to see if it's something that you want to use, of like
Okay.
customize it to be what you want. And then it's two, like how do you get people in here? So the way that they manage access management and it, for anybody that's using Keep, we're working on a functionality of an integration that will work directly with Keep ideally.
Hmm.
But if you want to use just Fluent CRM, we've got a license for you for Fluent CRM as well. And then you would add them to Fluent CRM with a tag, which would give them access to the communities. Now, we're still working on like, because most of our clients are using like Memarium and Keep and different things. But the functionality is there that they then get a default WordPress welcome email to be able to log in. And then you'd map the different communities by tag. You just don't have any tags, so it won't do very
Yeah,
much of
fair enough.
anything right now. And then for this Melody and Ann one, I think we'd be able to do it manually. There's another section where you can add links on the sidebar though, which I want to show you. Um, let's go into this one. So I should be able to invite people. So for you'd create, so if you get a new client, you create that group for them.
Hmm.
And then I can, if they're already a group, if there are, oh, look, we've got all the people in here too. If they're already a person, you can just add them, or it looks like we can send them a link, limit the use of numbers. So it's like I can create a link for them to be able to join. So it's a nice user process of go here and join your private Just Us
Yeah.
group. And
Yeah.
then they can go in and then you can leave empty for a no subscription. I kind of like that user experience. What else
Mm.
is nice on here is that they can see documents too. So if you upload a document to the Just Us section there, the one thing I do want to show you though is just how to add links on that sidebar, which I did do before. Menu settings, that's where we are. So there's a couple different options of where you can put links, and I'm just gonna throw like a random one to your blog here, just so you can see where they end up. So this is a URL, and then this is the top blog. And then I'm going to add this one. I'm going to add a group like resources here. And then, oops, I just added way too many, way too many options there. Um, Sidebar blog. I'm just titling them that way so that you can see
Yeah.
where they end up more so than anything. Um, and then I'm going to save these. It's like a little bit weird. Like I want to now delete these, but I don't know how. And I'm not going to get too wrapped up in it. So you've
So
got
you got resources down there, a sidebar blog.
mhm.
Mm.
So you can title this whatever you want. So you could have a bunch of different things in here. And then these are kind of like the main ones. And I think we should be able to change that like purple feeder thing. So let's go back just for a second for our menu options. It's got top blog. Oh, here, so you can do an emoji. I
Right.
like how they use emojis. So let's look at an apple. I don't know why I've chosen an apple. It somehow makes sense in my mind right now. Sidebar block. So you can do emojis like so you can choose like different emojis or shapes or custom image for each one of those, which I kind of like. I think it adds a little something like a more. And then you can add as many groups as you want to here. So do this one maybe what else would be we got resources, what else would we link out here?
We have got Zoom or events, you might call it. It's, upcoming events kind of thing.
And then I'm gonna call this Melodie's party on Friday. We already talked about how I don't like people, so and then we're gonna go back to home. I mean, that's pretty cool. I probably would be cautious of just using too many emojis here. Like already, like this is just way too much. I would probably like just keep these like we get rid of this get started one altogether. Maybe keep them up here, but then keep these maybe consistent or something. Just to be aware of like the overwhelm of just too many emojis there can make it like so people don't know what to pay attention to. But you can add like all of the different sections over here for different resources or upcoming events, which I really like. Um, Overall, like what's your take on it thus far of like the user
I
experience of
think
it, the
it's I
setup?
think it's lovely. I think the I'd have to sit and have a big think about the structure of it, but actually it suits my Scrivener mind.
Mm,
You know, because I've just spent the last 3 days restructuring somebody's book, and I have, I have to kind of see it from the outside and then get into it.
mhm,
And that I can imagine, I can think about how I would do that. I think of that as being the binder on the left-hand side,
yeah, yeah.
and basically what I want my various it'd actually be better than Facebook in as much as because some people belong to Nine Online and they belong to Talking Shop and they go to Wensley Writers. And
Mhm,
so it'd all be in one place. As it is, they have to kind of dive about all over the shop, go to a
mhm,
different group and what have you, whereas it would actually be in one place.
mhm.
And
Cleaner too.
it's cleaner, yeah. And I would my plan is I've got two clients who are really good friends of mine. Yeah, they've been my clients for about 10 years. Who've offered to be guinea pigs where I could set things up and try things out and ask them to go through and see how they like it. And then I haven't actually counted how many clients I've got. I daren't. But the ones that are currently active, because they have a Simply Scrivener special with me, which is the face-to-face session during which I find out lots about them, the level at which I can talk to them, how much they understand already, how IT savvy they are, how much they know about Scrivener already, that kind of stuff, how far they are into their novel. And after that initial discussion, their communication with me is free.
Mhm.
It actually suits me to help them because they will eventually join Nine Online, pay to go to Zooms and what have you, because of, it's all there. But um, I could go back to Facebook and I could pull across all the links. But I mean, that's a tedious
I
administrative
think
task.
probably you can hire like an admin at like $5 an hour to do that too.
Well, the thing is it even useful? Because if someone hasn't actually actioned their Facebook uh, material in ages, I mean, I do have some people who go away
I
for
think it's a
six
reason to
months and come
reach out
back.
to them, maybe, but maybe not move everything over for them.
Mm,
So the other thing that just occurred to me with that is that within this functionality, you can, so like in the Just Us functionality, let's say you've got, 25 people in here, you can send an announcement to all of the Just Us groups
mm,
all at once.
lovely.
Because I think there will be some things that you might want to just put to everybody. And then you could also make it so that like there's active Just Us people and then there's inactive. And
Yep.
that depending on that, I like that for your functionality going forward, that you can
Mm,
potentially just blast to everybody too.
yeah.
If you since you are going to have Fluent CRM on your site, just thinking about you could replace MailChimp out too with Fluent
Yeah.
CRM.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. We've been doing a lot. I've just been trialing it. We're kind of just dabbling in it right now, just as an option. Like I love Keep. I don't think it's a fit for you. I don't think that it makes sense for where your business is at right now.
Mm,
I love Keep for like, you have really strong systems, processes, and you need that level of automation, you need that level of complexity. But I like a tool that's just simpler for just like the basic stuff that you just don't need anything. Like I don't need a Ferrari to go to the gym. I mean, you might
no.
want a Ferrari to go to the gym, but you don't necessarily need it. So, I will get that installed for you and get that hooked up. And then feel free to explore that as well. I'm really liking the whole Fluent suite in general. They've also got Fluent Forms where you can do some pretty cool stuff as well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about the MailChimp one is that originally I set up separate MailChimp accounts for separate groups of people.
Interesting.
Um,
Seems,
because I had different people I was working with, but actually in here I can actually have it all in one place. So
yeah.
all of the various MailChimp accounts that I have, Certainly there's two of them that have an overlap of people. It would make sense.
I've really liked working with it. The email builder's been good. There is a functionality of how you need to move word, like your purchasers, like when people buy something from your store can automatically be added to Fluent CRM, but there's a functionality that we need to set up in order to make that happen. And
Hmm.
then they have campaigns and recurring campaigns and email sequences and templates. Like it's it's really well done. I gotta
Mm.
admit. I was a little bit surprised. It was like when I was playing with it, I was like, is this gonna be that good? I don't know, maybe. So
No, it's good. I mean, just the look of it is friendly. I mean, as I say, it's reminiscent of a Facebook kind of layout, but it's also reminiscent of Scrivener because you've got the three
I
areas, and that kind of is
I've
familiar.
been I don't know if you're gonna hate me for this, but I've been writing my book in Google Docs. And
That's awful.
I probably need to move it to Scrivener. I have dabbled in Scrivener, but I kind of feel like what people feel when they must look at like what we do with WordPress and stuff was like, but Google Docs is just so much easier for me. And like Scrivener was a little overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah. The trouble with, I mean, the trouble with you using Google Docs, if you're working with somebody like me,
Mhm.
is that if you give me access, I can change things, and then you could change things. And I have a kind of quite a strong old-fashioned thing about editing is that, you're the writer, I'm the editor. I would leave you comments. I'm happy to work in Word in as much as there's kind of a static thing about it. But as soon as you go into Google Docs, it seems to me
Mhm.
people change stuff, and I object fundamentally to having stuff only in the cloud.
Just
You know,
really. I
well, the
yeah.
thing is, because I'll tell you for why. Well, a lot of my clients have problems with internet access. The
Mm,
Wi-Fi goes down, whatever it is. I've actually got a list on my computer screen that if the internet goes down, I can still function. All of my novels, all of my clients' novels are on this machine.
mm.
I
It,
mean, if I have to go somewhere, I've got a laptop, I can access everything through iDrive. But the number of people say, "Oh, I was thinking and I lost a load of stuff," and you think, "Well, what are you? What? Well, woo."
it's
Um,
I'm like I'm always on the go. Like I work on my book on my iPad, on my phone, on my
mm,
desktop, and I have an offline version, offline access. So Google Docs has an offline access. It has gotten harder as the book's actually developed, though, like organizing it all
mm,
increasingly becoming more and more of a challenge. Um,
yeah.
so anyways, we'll talk separately about
Yeah.
that.
I would argue that you can't see enough for Scrivener on your phone or your iPad. I
Yeah,
need a screen this big for Scrivener.
I think there's an element of like stages of book too, of maybe like you can start it in Google Docs of like kind of when you're in that initial, but now I'm getting more into the refining stage
Mm.
of like, okay, this is actually going to be a book. And you know, what do those different sections being? And I think I've kind of like just outgrown that Google Docs. And maybe looking back, when I do my next one, because I've got four books in my mind right now, and this is the year, Anne, that I'm actually gonna do it.
I'm just making a note to myself. I'm going to send you an email with the link to what you should read in my blog.
That would be, well, we have our private group in here now. You can put the
I
link
can
of
put it
it.
in there.
You
No,
can put the
seriously,
link.
the thing is once your book gets beyond a joke, shall we say, and you're
The re-
working with somebody, who's a developmental editor and what have you, you do need to have it in such a way that they can leave you comments and you
Mhm,
can you can work collectively on it.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I've
I need
actually done a
to,
series of blogs about working with
I
Scrivener
need to
with an
relook at
editor.
that blog too, because this hurts my soul.
Yeah.
There's like, how do you, but I mean, we know you've got great content in here, but it's hard to not, whoa, wow, you got a lot of content. We need to think of some better, are you happy? Well, one, are you happy with your blog design?
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. Basically, my blog is really an encyclopedia. I mean, if you
Mm.
go to the Scrivener Virgin drop down and you pick up the index, the very last one, index of Scrivener posts, basically this is just like an encyclopedia. And so basically every time I blog, I'm usually doing nowadays I do series of blogs. and they cover the whole a huge topic. I started off doing itsy bitsy things, and then at some stage, Scrivener 2 became Scrivener 3, and I got very upset about that because that ruined a load of stuff. But then I had to learn it all, and so I've actually tackled. I've run out of topics, so I'm actually having to tackle things like why are you doing this rather than how should you do it. Um, and yeah, so no, I'm the blog's okay. I don't do much with it.
I'd love to see these because you basically your index is essentially you categorizing all your blogs.
Yeah.
And instead, the challenge I see with this is like this tells me like there should be more than 3 words here about what this post is my challenge with it. Of like what like because I should be able to see this and like see the most recent ones, but
I,
like
I
this
tell
does
you, I tell you why it's like that, because I use the same 24 next year.
mm,
And the only thing that changes is which letter of the alphabet, which topic under that letter of the alphabet I would choose to expand upon next time. Um, and I have got a few letters of the alphabet where there is only one.
mm.
So I'm gonna have to write some blog posts with that cover it. Um,
I think I'd want to put a like for those ones to put a because this is like just a default excerpt here of like whatever the
mhm.
top of your thing is, but
Yep.
there's a way to make it so that you on those ones that just have like the 3 words, you don't want to use the default. We want to put something in there that's a customized like this is the description that's going to help people see if they want to read this or not. And then to have your like your main categories at the top. And for the main categories for based on this, I would do collections, color, comments, compiling, corkboard view, folders, fonts, footers, footnotes. Formatting needs to be its own category. Just based on like the number of things that you have here and then keywords and then labels and then that way like when people come to this blog page they'd see those categories they can click on the categories and then go to all of the posts on there which could give them a little bit more than what you've done on the index here because the index will give just the name of it but if they can see the name and then what like that short little description would be really helpful. Anyways, I'm an ideas person. I cannot help myself. There's a great personality test called the M code and I'm in their email marketing right now and they're like, you're the visionary. All you can do is just see the possibilities of things. I was like, yeah, it's an addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes a bit of a curse.
It is. And I think and a lot of business owners end up being visionaries, but it's like how do you and that's what my book is about is the dysfunction basically the dysfunctions of being a business owner. And
Mm,
how it's only a dysfunction if it's out of balance though. And so it's like
yeah.
how do you recognize when it's out of balance and then how do you put systems and processes in place in order to put it into
Mm,
control because working in people's websites for the last 10 years
mm,
you get to know people, let's just put it that way, of like what holds them back from actually launching that thing and oftentimes it's
yeah.
ourselves.
I think as well that I mean, obviously I'm a bit older than you, and I could have retired 15 years ago. In any one day, it's kind of like this thing about the forums. I'm being forced to do something because of the situation in Facebook, but I've got a million other things that I could spend my time doing.
Mhm.
I've got a play I'm working on. I've got a novel that's nearly finished. Got another one that I want to work on. There's loads of stuff that I could do. I mean, I've got a manuscript here that I meant to start working on this morning, and I didn't actually haven't done it all day today. So when it comes to what could I do to change the blog, to me, the blog and the website itself is actually an information resource. There's a lot of pages on here that aren't accessible through the menus, which I use to send people to and they don't even know they're there. If they do a search, they might stumble across something. Um, so uh, it's a notepad for me almost, where I can send somebody for information if they need it.
Yeah. I mean I mean
It's
that's
pretty clumsy, maybe.
I mean if it's working, it's working though. It's like you to your point, there's when you're a business owner, there's a never-ending amount of things you can do.
Yeah,
And then there'll be people like me and consultants that'll come in and be like, you should do this or you should do that, or you'll go to some event somewhere. And then someone will be like, you should do this. Have you heard of this cool new marketing? What about AI? Why aren't you using AI? And it's like you almost need to check in with, I mean, this has only come in the last couple of years of like to check in with yourself. And it's like, okay, this person's coming from their point of view. What's actually important to me in my
Yeah.
business and my day-to-day life? And just putting it through that filter. And it's such a fine balance because you don't want to be closed off to ideas, but you
No, no.
also don't want to like take yourself off course because
Mm.
it's far easier just to add more things to your plate, more things to your plate. And there's a great quote that I like, which is do less and obsess rather than do more and stress.
And the trouble
Um,
is with, I mean, for argument's sake, with AI, um, I wrote something that was for one of my events that was coming up, and then I
mhm,
thought to myself, why don't I just, because it had at the bottom, use AI to make it better, and I thought, maybe. So I just grabbed what I'd written, went on to Google, and I did an AI check on it to see how bad it was, how good it was, and actually it came up that what I had written, my own words, came up as being 95% AI produced. And I
you're
thought,
kidding.
excuse me, I wrote that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I now call AI ANDS intelligence. But the other thing as well, which is really, excuse my French, pissing me off, I now, when I'm searching for something, I have this barrier of stuff that is presented to me as if that's the answer. And, somebody said, oh, well, you need to ask better questions. Actually, I used to ask quite good questions and I got a load of stuff and I found it. Now I'm kind of being bombarded. And it worries me, it really does worry me that the information that we put in front of people will be the information that somebody pays to put in front of you, not the
Mhm.
information I want to see. My Facebook feed this morning, I had to wait on the phone for ages for a bank, like they say your call is important to you. And while I
I
was
mean,
at it,
they really need to back that up with action, in my
they
opinion.
do, but I actually did not interested, not interested, not interested, not interested, right the way down my Facebook feed. And all I was getting was stuff, I don't want to see it.
Hmm.
And basically there was hardly anything from any of my friends. I can actually do a search on the top left in Facebook now, and I can see what my friends have been posting.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to look at my feed. It's only full of
Like
rubbish.
once we move all your communities onto your site, you just won't go on Facebook anymore.
That's right. So, but it's I think some of it, I mean, I go back to when I was actually teaching computing in the 1960s,
Hmm.
and in those days it was very low level stuff, and there was this new thing called you could have a table and you could invert a table. So basically, and the example I gave to my students was if we had a list of people, the people in this room, and we had our blood types, that'd be really useful, wouldn't it? Because then, if we need blood, we know what blood you need. But if you invert that table and I need a new kidney, I need somebody with a rhesus negative. I've now got a hit list. We call it a hit list.
Hmm.
It's called a hit list, which means somebody could go out and hit you and get your blood and get your kidney. So and they all sat there going, "Oh, miss, you're being over dramatic." No, the power of computers is that you can get information that you that can do damage. And I
So
think
it's
that
a
currently the
wild.
AI is doing more damage than it's doing help.
It's changing my. It's making me more effective. I think it's a two-sided coin. It's not any amount of like all good or all bad. There's
Mm,
certainly, and we just don't know where it's gonna go. I hope it's more for the good than for the evils, but time will tell. Um,
mm.
thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
me on this.
So I can go and play in there. You've set it up already.
Yeah, it's all set up. The Fluent CRM set up in there for you too. If you do need any help with it, just email. This is still something that the team's not totally familiar with right now. Since you're in our lovely support plan with the guild, though, you get to be one of my guinea pigs as we test out these different ideas.
Yeah.
But as you're working through it, feel free to shoot me a quick email and just let me
Okay.
know, okay, hey, this is my question or this is what I'm working on. And then we'll get it to a spot where ideally you can get people in there. I think in the combination of Fluent CRM and then this tool, though, you should be able to have everything that you need to get it up and running.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I should probably not work on it until after I've got my tax returns done, which the deadline is this end of this month. So no, I'll actually probably work on it during next month and actually try and set something up and hope Facebook doesn't fall down between now and then.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Thank you. It's
Thank you,
been a
Nan.
pleasure to meet you face to face.
Yes. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Have a good night.